Jamie Dornan mistakes in hashtag business investment put his family on the hashtag brink of bankruptcy. Jamie Dornan, the Northern Irish star known for his introspective roles in 50 Shades and The Fall, is not just an actor. He used to dream of building his own brand outside of Hollywood. When his finances and career reached their peak in 2022, Jamie decided to invest in a chain of luxury resorts on the Mediterranean coast, along with a technology startup that makes apps to connect artists and film producers. At first, things looked promising. Profits increased every quarter. The media hailed Jamie as an or entrepreneur, and his wife Amelia Warner was very supportive. Amelia, who has a keen sense of art and business, even spent time learning more about financial management, hoping to contribute and support Jamie in running the business. The two sold a majority stake in a property in the Highlands to raise capital, and withdrew personal funds into an investment fund. The balloon begins to deflate. In the summer of 2023, the resort chain opens. But soon after, technical and operating owner problems appear. Senior staff leave en masse construction costs exceed the initial budget. Operating permits are delayed in several countries. Meanwhile, the technology company can not launch products on time, losing its first marketing opportunity. Jamie faces a very real situation. The investment loan cannot be paid on time, the promotion budget continues to increase, and in the meantime, the cash flow is blocked. Amelia initially remains calm, believing that everything can be saved. They negotiate with the bank to extend the repayment per /IO cut unnecessary expenses, hoping that a few months of delay will stabilize them. But at that time, CFDs and exchange rate fluctuations caused the resort chain to inflate by several $1 million. The investment capital was already stretched, and the tech company wanted D to raise new capital, but secondary investors backed out because they were worried that Jamie was taking on both losses. The crisis was out of control. In early 2024, e-crisis became clear. Short-term loans were due in just a few months, but the income was not enough to cover the interest. Credit advisors advised him to put up collateral, but Amelia objected. They had sold their second home and several properties to raise capital, and if they continued to mort #gauge, the risk of losing everything was very high. Not only that, the news spread online. The tabloids reported that Jamie Dornan, the fragile idol of millions of fans, was in serious financial trouble. The comments on social media were sympathetic, but also mocking. Jamie read each article with more pain. In an imaginary development, Amelia boldly posted a short letter on her personal page, private, published to close friends, writing, "Jamie, who lives for art and family, is facing the bank every day. But I am more worried when looking into my children's eyes, that when the real estate is foreclosed, we will lose our home, lose the future of our 2 children." The story at this time does not stop at a NEWS power, it threatens the family's dream. The feeling of bankruptcy is not just about the money, but also the loss of honor, the reality that makes every gentle moment fade. The storm of public opinion and family pressure. Reporters came to the Who's many times. During a fashion event photo shoot, Jamie appeared with tired eyes, although still elegant. Her eyes were no longer as bright as before. Magazines published that photo with captions like, "Jamie Dornan from leading role to debtor." Some fans sent messages of comfort. others pressured him to produce more work or share other plans. Amelia started tracking every financial number, working with a #debt reduction specialist, borrowing every penny from close friends to pay off the bank interest. But the pressure on the relationship, between private life and the Medi #spotlight, was huge. There were nights when they didn't speak, just sat next to each other, exhaustion and anxiety filling the bedroom. In an imaginary scene, Jamie sits at the end of the garden at midnight and says to Amelia, "I used to #Inc. I had a big vision, but it turned out I lacked patience and made a big mistake. I gambled with my honor and family's love without being prepared enough." Amelia took his hand. "We made some mistakes, but the children were born. As long as we have strength, we still have hope. I don't #want them to see their parents give up." Financial restructuring #PS. In the midst of the crisis, they decided to restructure. Jamie sold part of the shares of the technology company, not enough to raise capital, but enough to pay off short-term interest. They cut down on the resort chain, keeping only one resort and closing the rest, converting to a simpler operating model. Amelia took on the role of continuous support, calculating the family financial plan every month: interest payments, savings, insurance, living expenses, nothing extra. Jamie limited accepting big films, prioritizing short-term projects to have quick cash flow. They organized a charity auction to support the community. Amelia herself brought some household items to the auction stage to create a serious sign that this was not just a business. The family's emotions became more and more contemplative. They focused on basic values: children, love, mutual support, instead of big projects. One morning in late May 2024, Jamie posted a long post on his personal page, not to justify, but to confide. "I have learned that failure is not losing everything. Only when you lose a clear view of reality and true love, then you lose everything." Then KS to Amelia's love and perseverance. She has been the most solid rock. Recovery and lessons. By the end of 2024, the financial situation was not considered prosperous again, but the family was stable. The only resort OP rating with a slight profit, the technology company sold version 1.0 products to a small distribution channel. Large loans were restructured to extend the repayment period. Jamie could accept some high-profile roles as before, and AME Leah opened a music writing class to create additional income. More importantly, this imaginary story becomes a great lesson in relationships and careers. A vision without a careful assessment of risks is likely to fail. It is the honest communication between husband D and wife when faced with a crisis that protects the family. The biggest failures are not due to lack of why, but due to not protecting love, commitment and trust. In an off-cam interview on an imaginary talk show in RLY 2025, Jamie appears more peaceful. He says, "I used to be afraid of being called a failure. But now I only fear one thing: if I let my children see their parents arguing over money, without knowing that we still love each other, still respect each other, then that is the real failure." Amelia takes the mic and adds, "We are not as rich as before, but we are richer in understanding each other." Our greatest assets now are hashtag love and true hashtag ST.